everyone, this is RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars Season 5 Episode 7 Stand Up Smackdown, the last episode before the finale. So I'm going to tell you a secret. I don't like to see spoilers. I just like to be able to predict the show in a natural fashion. And if you know that so-and-so goes home, then the whole time you see things to either disprove what you think is wrong or prove what you think is right. Anyway, but I do enjoy like prediction videos, like what I do, where I say, I think this person is getting their feet underneath them or this person's starting to stumble, that kind of thing. What I don't like is so-and-so knows so-and-so who's a PA who feeds them all the information. Because I like one kind of video, sometimes I accidentally watch the other kind of video. And as such, I spent this whole season thinking that Cracker went home too soon, because I had seen a prediction video on accident that said that she went home, and since Cracker was one of my favorites, I watched Cracker's YouTube channel. I haven't been paying a lot of attention to Cracker. This is why I hate these videos. It affected how I viewed the show. So this was a good episode for me. So we come into it, Cracker, I'll get back to that thought, that train of thought later on. Cracker is going to mess with them. Everybody goes, oh, Cracker, this is your thing. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is Cracker's thing. Cracker's a comedy queen, so I get that. But I'm like, let's not pretend that Juju hasn't been killing humor all season. So it was kind of a little funny. That's where you see us as the viewers watching and seeing kind of the interviews, which remember, they don't see the talking head interviews. So they probably don't realize how hilarious Juju is in things like picking out the lipsticks and her little bit and all of that. So she says, I'm going to give you guys a hard part. My thought was, I almost would have done it exactly like she lined it up, Cracker lined it up. And clearly she knows that Jujubee is a strong competitor because he put her first. Now, the one thing I would argue with is that a drag race stand-up performance is different than club at the local bar, okay? Because Cracker made a comment about how the first one's tough because people are out, they're drinking, they've been sitting for a while, and they're not sure if they're going to have a good time tonight or not. I bet you, I have no doubt that is absolutely correct at a club, but I would say that filming on RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars, so these are probably super fans who have come to the show and they want to have a good time. And especially because we know that you are in the crowd, there's a camera, there's probably cameras everywhere, and you want to be caught going, oh, oh, do you know what I mean? Now, certainly you could also get them going stone-faced, but I'm going to say that this is a little different experience. And I'm going to also say that I don't know that order matters that much. Like, I think it still matters, especially in how it affects the performers. But I'm going to say that it's not exactly the same as going to your local club. Now, I haven't been to a local club. There's actually a tweet from Jinx Monsoon that popped up in my timeline that I do agree with, which is just because you watch RuPaul's Drag Race doesn't make you an expert at drag. It makes you a fan of Drag Race. Absolutely. I've never said otherwise. I consider myself to be an expert on RuPaul's Drag Race, not drag in general. And I'm okay with that. I'm not claiming otherwise. I'm not claiming that if I went to the local drag show, not that we have one, occasionally I guess there's one, maybe I'll be able to go at some point, but doesn't mean that I would walk in and be like, hello, I'm an expert. Anyway, I'm sorry, we're getting back to this. There's just not a lot to talk about. There's only 4 left at this point. So Jujubee, because it's a rough beginning. Blair next, because it's going to be tough. Cracker, which basically because we're not expecting a lot from Blair. And then Shay, because it's tough to close. Like I said, I think it's anyone's game. I will tell you though, I've mentioned this before, I tried stand-up and I bombed, and it gives me anxiety watching them bomb. So, anyway, Juju comes out, this was my rating as I watched it. Jujubee 8 out of 10. One big flop. There was one little section that they showed that was kind of a flop, but I thought the rest was good. Blair came out, I wrote page turning ugh. I gave it 4 out of 10. A couple of jokes, but Now, admittedly, we don't see the whole set. They probably did 5-minute sets. We probably saw 2 minutes of it. Anyway, I thought Cracker was good. I put 9 out of 10. Only not 10 out of 10, just because 10 out of 10 would be like perfect. And I'm also, anyway. So if that's not like, oh, that was bad. It was just more of that. And then Shay, they did a good job of pumping up the audience and kind of getting them going. No real bombs. I actually put a 9.5 to an 8.5 to a 9. I agree with the feedback that they gave, which is that if she could address her experience, which she did a little bit, that would be really unique to her, and I like that. It's just really clear that Cracker has more experience being on stage and doing this kind of work, because it felt so comfortable interacting. A lot of what she was saying weren't so much jokes as funny voices. That's not a criticism. I'm just saying, I guess I'm just making a compare and contrast. I thought, I was a little confused. I love Jane. I love her. I love 30 Rock. I always feel like sometimes the advice they give, especially like comedy challenges, I'm always kind of like I'll chuckle at a joke and they'll be like, I don't get it. And I'm like, oh, but I thought it was funny. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, it came out about what we would expect. I love their outfits. I thought a lot of people were saying, when Shay went really big, they didn't get it. When she went almost identical to Blair, they were like, oh, this isn't enough. I don't like it when they grade on a curve where they say, oh, Shay, you could do so much more, so we're going to grade you harsher. You normally don't do that much. And so I kind of feel like grading on a curve is good, but it's also not fair to hold someone to hugely higher different expectations and then mark them down because of it. Not digging this thing. I saw a comment this morning where someone was like, Cracker's a moron for not getting rid of Shay when she could. You probably know what I'm going to say. If you've ever watched my videos before, you know what I'm going to say, which is I 1000% agree with Cracker's choice, because would you rather win one competition or would you rather win a career? Them playing it straight up, just getting rid of who has the worst track record, all that, 99.9% of the fans are happy, their competitors are happy, and you're opening the doorway to a Trixie and Katya career. I don't mean directly, but I mean having a good, fair relationship with your other queens opens you up to opportunities, whether it's collaborating in videos, whether it's going on, working on tour together, doing merchandise together. Remember, if you watch the evolution of Trixie and Katya, they were friends in the show. In my mind, when they left the show, they immediately started working together. And that's not actually what happened. They put Katya with, she was doing sort of like runway evaluations with Aquaria. Trixie was over here doing different stuff. And then I don't know, there might be details left out of this, but what I remember is they did Best Friends for Cash, and they just killed it. And they were just hilarious. And they played off each other for the whole time. You can go find it. It took off, and they were like, okay, let's do a show. What are you going to do? I don't know. Let's give them a topic. But then, of course, they did a topic, and then it was like the topic was in the rear view mirror, and they just played together, verbally played. They kind of did improv, sort of, together. And they were like, oh, that's what people want. Because they kept trying Katya with different people, and they took Trixie. But if Trixie and Katya hadn't gone along on the show, and there was some big long-term hurt, they might have been like, isn't there someone else I could do this with? Anyway, my point away from that is that you have to think long-term. I think the queens know this. I'm sure for everything that we see on social media, there's 10 times as much going on behind social media in quiet and text where they were like, they really did me wrong on the show or this or that. I'd just rather, if I have a choice of 10 queens, I'd rather work with these other 9. I don't know. So I don't blame. And the fandom can be really vicious, and I don't necessarily think, I'm not trying to promote that as a good thing, but if you go and you send out someone who was clearly in the top just to move ahead, I think there is some repercussions. I don't know. You can go ask Naomi. Anyway, I felt like they were pretty rough on Shay. Not a fan of this. I think it was pretty clear, though, where I always feel like it's really weird where people are like, sure, I didn't win any challenges, and you guys have had significantly more wins and have been at the top more than me, but I think I deserve it because I won it. And I go, well, yeah, everyone wants it. I don't think wanting it is a great excuse. Same thing with, well, I have potential. Okay, well, it's not a scholarship. It's not about who has the most potential. I thought Blair was great. I think she did a great job in her season. But she's just not coming together. She just didn't pull out wins. I'm sorry, that's how contest works. So they all voted, it looks like, oh no, we know they all voted for Blair. I assume Blair voted for, I don't know. Do we know? Do we know who Blair voted for? Anyway, and then they had Kennedy Davenport. I was really excited. I like Kennedy Davenport. Kennedy Davenport's a lot of fun. And then they did like this really low energy country song, and I was like, what is going on? What is happening? Sorry, my phone just buzzed and I'm trying to figure out where it was. Anyway, and then at the last second, RuPaul gets this phone call, and then nothing happened from it. And I was wondering if there was a twist they were going to cut out. Why didn't they cut out the whole phone call? Like, was there a twist about next? I was wondering if that was supposed to be tied into next week's episode, but because we're in the middle of a pandemic, they had to cut out some of the explanation because they didn't want it to be, they wanted it to be obvious this was pre-recorded. I don't know. I don't really understand where it was going. I thought initially it was a fake out, like, oh, we're going to do more. And so they would freak the queens out and then be like, okay, never mind, you're all good. Like, that's what I thought it was going to be, but it wasn't super clear. But then they cut to next week's episode, and I guess everyone's back. But I kind of feel like maybe there was something that they had to cut out because of the pandemic, and because it was clear that they couldn't get everybody into a room in California and have them do what they were going to do. So I'm not totally sure. It looks like they're coming back and doing a pseudo reunion, but not the way we typically do a reunion, and they're doing a performance. It was very confusing. In terms of the final three, Shay, Jujubee, and Cracker, super strong. Cracker's won. Like I said, I've been kind of ignoring Cracker because I got those early predictions that she was out halfway, and I steeled my heart. I think Cracker's done well. I don't think Cracker's done as well as Cracker could do. And what I mean is, I still feel like she's really in her head. If you watch her channel, there's a certain glimmer of joy that I feel like we haven't seen this season. I think she had a really rough start. I think she tried to be honest and upfront about what was happening. Just like she did in this, where she said, hey, I'm going to be honest. I'm not even going to pretend that I'm doing anything other than giving myself the best spot. But I think early on, this conflict with Alexis, and then there's this whole thing about how her and Blair are good friends, but Blair kind of threw under the bus privately and in confessionals, and I think that was a little bit of a case of everybody disliked Cracker, so she jumped on the bandwagon. I don't really understand what happened, but I just feel like there's a side of Cracker that this competition we've not seen. And I think that's fine. I think it's, what I mean fine is that we don't go through life as a competition. So if you're going to have it one place, it's nice to have it on Drag Race, but it's probably more useful to you to have it in the rest of your life. I think Shay and Jujubee have knocked it out of the park. I know Shay wants it really badly, but then I go, Jujubee has been in the top 3 in 3 different seasons. Two All-Star seasons and her own season. And I feel like to be at that high level for 10 years deserves it. Like, she's a joy to watch. People adore her. She's done consistent performance. She's been at this high level. This was not once that she got on a run. It wasn't twice that she's gotten on a run. It's 3 times. She deserves it. But then I go, but Shay is amazing. Shay has been consistent, is beautiful, has stepped up to the challenges, even challenges that aren't her thing. She is an innovator in fashion. I can't say that she doesn't deserve it. And then Cracker has a great, I know Cracker's super entertaining, can do performance, not just be funny on the fly. A lot of people that I'm seeing are like, why did you waste the double win last year? I don't know who they think should have won, but, you know, can we get a triple win? I will say that the one thing that made me feel better is that Cracker has won at least $40,000 and gifts in just lip sync for her legacy. So at least if she doesn't win, she's got that. And so that at least makes me feel a little better, but I just don't even know. I just don't even know. I don't know what to say. There you go. So tell me who you want to win, who you think will win if they're different. Could they pull out a triple win? Could maybe do a double win? What are your thoughts? What are you thinking? Do you think it'll be different because of the pandemic? Just hit me up. Tell me what you're thinking. How are you feeling? How do you feel about Blair's elimination? Do you feel like I do, which is Blair was wonderful and great. The other three deserved it more, had shown more over this season? Or do you feel like, no, that was definitely the wrong choice? Or maybe you're of the opinion that definitely Cracker's a moron for not getting rid of Jujubee or Shay. What do you think? Hit me up. Bye.